Well, we're off and running on the Krug Show on a Sunday night, July 30th, 2023, 8:05 on the West Coast, 11:05 on the East Coast. Hope everybody's having a great day. Welcome to the Krug Show, brought to you by Pig and a Pickle. Best barbecue in Northern California. Check them out, Emeryville, Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. or until they run out. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in Northern California. Get the brisket chili. Get out to Marin County where they exclusively make the potato chips cooked in beef fat, fried in beef fat. Pig and a Pickle. All right. More on them later on. We're also brought to you by New York Style Italian Sausage and Marin Autoglass. MarinAutoglass.com, 415-883-3030. And New York Style Italian Sausage, the best Italian sausage in the world. And you can find it at any grocery store in Northern California. All right, today was day 4 of training camp in Santa Clara. The pads come on tomorrow. Today was the final padless practice. Well, I shouldn't say pad. They'll probably do some other padless practices, but this was the last padless practice before they put the pads on. Dre Greenlaw said, man, he is eager to get out there and start hitting people. And joining us is Kevin Kruger.
Hello.
Mike Monahan says Larry misses the days when he had Kevin's hair. Yeah, look at that. Look at that hair. And look at this hair, and look at that hair.
Sorry, man. I'm sorry.
Oh, man. Give it time. But, yeah, Kevin Kruger is here. We're going to break it all down. We've got 5 or 6 topics that we're going to hit. And then Kev will give you a status update on the channel. We've been blowing up the last couple days on YouTube. And Kev has all the details for you here forthcoming. But let's get right into it. We're almost kind of doing like a mailbag edition where we're going to go through a number of different topics. And Kev, I will let you lead. So go right ahead, my friend. How are you?
Let me just start off by saying
I should say my son. It's not my friend, my son.
Today we're both. Today was a great day. Today was a great day for me personally, just because I got to stay home and do stuff for the channel and edit videos, and now we're live. So I'm pretty excited. It's been a great day. Great Sunday.
Get right on that mic because you want to be right on that microphone.
I'm right on it.
Well, I think you kind of got louder and quieter all at once.
Yeah, I think it's the way that my mic is.
There it is, right there. That's the sweet spot. You got to have headphones on. Do you have headphones so you hear it louder? You might have it backwards. Is it backwards, maybe?
It may be. It may be.
Oh, there you go. You sound good.
Okay. Well, let's just get right to it.
Now you sound a little muffled. Now you're a little too hot.
Okay.
All right.
Can people tell
there
me
you go.
How I sound? Do I sound okay right now?
Yeah, right then you sound good.
Okay, so if I look over to my right, you lose me?
No, but you just stay right there. Just stay right there.
Well, let's just get right into it anyways. One of the big topics everyone's talking about is Nick Bosa.
Back off the mic a little bit. You're starting to break up a little bit. Starting to get a little overwhelmed.
What about now? Is this better? I just turned on the gain a little bit. Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Well, one of the topics everyone's talking about, Nick Bosa. How's he doing? He's not coming to practice. What's the news?
Little low on the mic right now. I hate to say it, but we got to get this right. Otherwise, it's not going to sound good.
All right. How many times?
Bacon says, so bossy.
How many times am I going to have to redo this? All right. Are we good? Does it sound okay like this or no?
Yeah, it sounds pretty good.
Okay. All right.
Mark says, Dad's breaking balls, LOL.
You know what I'm going to ask by this point. Nick Bosa, the contract, what's the details? People are kind of freaking out. I heard someone on Twitter say something about him potentially signing on the 10th from an inside source, but it was kind of like a not verified account. What's the details?
Well, the details are that he's going to make about 30 to 33 million. I think somewhere in there. Could be more if he has serious leverage, but I think the sweet spot is right around 33 million. It's going to be a monster deal, and I really don't think this is about anything about money. I don't believe that for the slightest. They've had plenty of time to feel each other out, so to speak, and get an idea of what Nick's looking for and what the market bears, and have all the back and forth they want to have. It's not like they've got 19 different guys that they have to deal with holding out. This is the guy. This is the guy. They've been talking about this for a long, long time. I really believe the 49ers want to minimize their risk. And I tweeted out today that I hope the 49ers don't sign Nick Bosa until at least August the 15th. If you're telling me August the 10th, I can live with that. But I'd say even beyond that, August the 15th. Why? Because these are the teams, this is the Niners' other defensive ends. Drake Jackson, Robert Beal Jr., Clelin Ferrell, Austin Bryant, Kerry Hyder, Daryl Johnson, and Alex Barrett. So, I mean, Drake is a nice player. Beal's a decent prospect. The rest of those guys are just guys. I like Kerry Hyder. He's kind of a jack of all trades, tackle / end. But, I mean, Clelin Ferrell, Austin Bryant, Daryl Johnson, Alex Barrett, there's guys like this all over the league. The Niners' Super Bowl chances drop dramatically without Nick Bosa. And so I'm doing videos, every day on the good and the bad of the training camp, each and every day. And the best thing that happened today was that Nick Bosa didn't get hurt and is not out for the year. That's the best thing that happened today. Nobody wants to admit that, but that's the truth. Nick Bosa did not get hurt today, is not out for the year, and that is a huge positive. The Niners' Super Bowl chances drop like a stone if Bosa goes down. The Vegas odds would drop dramatically on the Niners if Bosa's done for the year. I don't want to risk injury in July. I don't want to risk injury when the Niners play the Raiders in Vegas in those practices next week or in the game. I don't want to see Nick Bosa going down in the preseason. I understand the difference between being in shape and being in football shape. That's why he's got to play some. But you want to minimize this. The reality is tomorrow's a padded practice. And anytime you walk out on that football field and you put on the pads, or even if you don't, you can be done for the year. Why would you take a chance in July on being done for the year? Sean McVay doesn't play his guys at all in the preseason and just says, you know what, if they're going to be rusty week 1, I'll trade that off for having them healthy at the beginning of the year. I think it's super smart. You minimize the injury risk by keeping him out of the early action. What's the ups? Why would you not want a guy holding out? I mean, if you say, what's the downside of holding out? Well, maybe the guy comes in and he's not in football shape. Is Nick Bosa not going to be in football shape? Of course not. He's always in football shape. He's in the best shape of anybody on the entire team on the defensive side of the ball. This guy is known for his conditioning. He's lifting, he's running, he's doing stuff. Now, you can always slow play him at the beginning of his reporting. So you get him out there on the 15th of August, you let him ramp it up. Realistically, what does he need? Yeah, I mean, Cheeseball says it best here. Bosa is in shape 365 days a year. He absolutely is. The only bad things can happen for Nick Bosa in this part of the year. You can't win the Super Bowl on July the 30th. You can't win the Super Bowl on July the 27th. To me, this is an overwhelming positive that he's not playing. He's going to report sometime in August. The later, the better. And I don't even care if he misses all of preseason. Doesn't matter to me. Get him out there. Get him some reps in practice, and get him ready for the season. But he doesn't need a lot of reps. I just saw the guy in minicamp. He's in awesome shape. He's in the prime of his career. So if you get to a situation where you're leaning on Austin Bryant and Daryl Johnson to rush the passer, you have a problem, a major, major problem. If you're leaning, the other day I'm looking at the number ones. It was Drake on the outside, Armstead and Hargrave inside, and Alex Barrett on the outside opposite Drake. That's how thin they are at defensive end. Do not risk Nick Bosa in late July. Do not risk Nick Bosa in early August. Do not have Nick Bosa showing up and having Raider, guys who are trying to make the Raiders 53-man chopping him at the knees. Hell to the no. No, not doing it. It's not smart. I don't want him in that Raider game. Whoever they play in that second preseason game, I don't want him in that game either. The ideal time to sign would be the days leading up into the third preseason game. Give him 2 or 3 practices. If he wants to play in the preseason game, let him. If he's not a safety, he's not an inside backer. He doesn't need to be there. He's an edge rusher who burns the edge and sacks the quarterback. The Niners won the Super Bowl in 1981. They had Fred, or was it? I guess it was 81. They had Fred Dean signed in like week 11. I mean, it does not matter if he's there in July or early August. What matters is he's there for the Super Bowl. What matters is he's there for the Eagles in the NFC Championship game, that he's there for the playoffs, that he's there when it really matters. Now, it matters week 1, but it doesn't matter in the preseason, and it sure as hell doesn't matter now. So all these people, I've heard people say, today was the 4th day of practices. There's no sign of Bosa. He's not expected to report to camp, obviously, without a new contract. That's never going to happen. Mayoko reported that. Kyle Shanahan was asked about it today. He said, I haven't heard anything, so no updates there. That is a great thing. We don't want to see Bosa until the middle of August. All right. I've had my say.
Him holding out, he knows there's no one else. He's going to get more money. You never know what's going on. They might be negotiating still. He knows that he has a ton of leverage in this situation. So a deal's going to be done, though, because they can't afford not to have him.
Oh, yeah. And this idea that people are like, well, somebody's like, trade him in a Herschel Walker trade. What are you, high? I mean, come on. As soon as you trade him, you're going to be looking for him. You need him. You need him. You need him badly.
Yeah.
Digital Drew, by the way, in the chat says, oh, hot dog, I caught a stream. Congrats on 20,000 subs, Larry. Lazy Larry. I love you, boy, but you're fucking lazy. That was Bill Urbanic. Love him. We're coming up with your lazy T-shirt, aren't we, Kev?
Yeah, I've been you lazy on it, so I need to get on that. It's on my to-do list for sure.
We got this one from Gouda trying to win. Kruger, you're wrong, all capitals. You can't justify someone getting injured as a reason not to be around. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Guys go down all the time. Let me ask you this. Why do you think NFL teams don't sign players until the first day they report? Because they are trying to minimize their risk. Because there's risk walking around in everyday life. And so they wait till right till the reporting date to sign these guys because they're trying to minimize their risk. And the Niners would be very smart. Last year you had Samson Ebukam. Last year you had Jordan Willis. Last year you had Charles Omenihu. Last year you had a rotation of NFL caliber, above average edge rushers. And if you lost Bosa, it was a nightmare, but it wasn't game over. This year you lose Bosa, I think you're up a creek. Or you're going to have to go make a trade and trade draft picks, or you're going to have to go sign somebody. I mean, I don't see, outside of Drake, I don't see defensive ends in this camp that they can go with as starters and really be a Super Bowl contender. And I guarantee you, if John Lynch was held to a lie detector test, he would agree with me. So what does that mean? That means pickle jar Bosa until the middle of August.
I agree. 100%. Is my mic sounding better now?
Yeah, sounds good.
Great. Okay.
Why would you make a little change?
Yeah, I had the setting on so that it was going from like, I can't explain it. It was not picking me up well. All right. Well, let's move on. I like the answer to that one. That's a good point. Bosa's must-have player. It's gotta
have him. Nobody cares. Let me ask you this. Does anybody remember? Who reported when once the season starts? No. Nobody cares. Nobody knows.
No one cares. No one cares.
How many snaps did Aaron Donald play in the preseason the year the Rams won the Super Bowl? Zero.
75.
None. So it doesn't matter. So keep him out. And I've seen people, I love Akash, but Akash threw out, hey, I'm getting nervous about him. I'm getting concerned. Akash, don't get concerned. Don't worry about this.
Relax, Akash.
Yeah, as Aaron Rodgers would say, relax. Let's all just relax. All right.
Well, let's move on. Another important topic that everyone wants to know about, and we promise this won't take up the entire show, is your opinion of the quarterback competition so far through the first week, through first 4 days. What have you seen? I know yesterday there was a lot of talk about Trey Lance having a bad practice, being down on himself. What have you seen? I know he had a good practice today. Let's go quarterback by quarterback and just give me your thoughts, starting with Purdy.
I think Brock Purdy, he's completed about 50% of his passes. He was doing some running today. Today was his scheduled off day. He'll be back tomorrow. Once again, not concerned about, people that are concerned about Purdy, to me, there's only one reason to be concerned. Does he have diminished arm strength after the elbow surgery? If you believe that he does, that's a concern. But he's not going to forget how to play football. He's not going to forget how to process. To me, he looked very much like the Brock Purdy of old. I would disagree with Grant, who did a video this morning saying that he thinks he's diminished. I don't think he's diminished at all. Shanahan was asked about how Brock looks today, and he said he thinks he looks great. And I think he might have even said he looks, the same physically as he looked a year ago. You got to give him a few days to shake off the rust. He didn't have a normal offseason, that's for sure. He didn't have the normal throwing, reps that he would normally get. But no concerns about Brock. He shows arm strength. He can process. He's out of rhythm. He hasn't played. It's going to take a little time. That's why they have training camp. That's why they have preseason. The big question was, can he throw the ball? Does he still have the same zip? And I think he showed that he does. Now, he also said he's not experiencing pain, stiffness, soreness, swelling in that elbow. So these are all positives, right? I mean, huge positives. So, would I've liked Brock in an ideal world to hit the field, show the exact same or better arm strength, and complete 70 to 80% of his passes and never have a misstep? Sure. But it's July 30th. I pump the brakes on the sky is falling on Brock Purdy. If he's completing 30 or 40% of his passes a week from now, hit me up. We'll talk it over. Until then, what are we talking about? The guy looks good. Shanahan thinks so. I think so. The guy showed to me enough arm strength. That throw to Aiyuk was nice. The throw to Debo that he overthrew him. He intentionally overthrew him, by the way. You know that. I hope you guys all realize that. People are talking completion percentage. He intentionally was going to overthrow guys. Why? On the go ball. Because he knows the alternative. If he underthrows it, it becomes a referendum on his arm strength. So he just airmailed it. So he just reached back and said, I'm throwing this 5 yards beyond him. And then in the same day when he's obviously doing that, people are like, but his completion percentage. I don't care about Brock Purdy's completion percentage. Now we care about completion percentage? The guy completed 67% of his passes. The guy was nearly 70% in college. He has the highest completion percentage of all their quarterbacks and will have the highest completion percentage of all of their quarterbacks. So to me, it's not about completion percentage. It's about arm strength and zip. And he looks like he's got zip. And he looks like he's got arm strength, and I don't see him gearing up to throw in a crazy way that's making – it's not like he's trying to compensate for a lack of arm strength with all kinds of extra body motion. I've watched quarterbacks throw for years. I know the difference between full motion and regular motion. It wasn't like he was gearing up to throw. He wasn't putting everything he had into it. He was throwing with his regular throwing mechanics. And he looks like he's got good arm strength. Now, as I said, check back in a week. If he's completing 30%, we can have it. We can reassess. Until then, to me, I've seen what I need to see. He's got zip. He looks very much like the Brock of old, and I don't think he's diminished at all. And I'd love to debate that with Grant as far as diminished, because he said he was diminished, but I didn't see him actually back that up with any real concrete data. He just kind of said he's diminished. I don't think he's diminished. And Shanahan was asked about it today, and go check down, go look at the answer. He didn't say, my guy's diminished, or hey, it's a work in progress, or anything to that. He's like, yeah, physically he looks like the same guy from a year ago. I mean, that's more or less what he said. And I agree. That's Purdy. All right, on to Darnold. Well, let's go to Brandon Allen. Brandon Allen can run the short game. Brandon Allen can throw the short passes. He's got footwork. He's smart. He's got a little moxie. He can throw with a little touch. He can operate the short game. He can operate in the intermediate level. As soon as the game switches to, all right, Brandon, we want you to challenge 18 yards down the field or more, he becomes less accurate. Now we move to 25 yards down the field or more, he becomes less accurate. Anything over 30 yards down the field, and it's just like he sprays it. It's in the general vicinity. Anything 40 yards down the field has got a real loop to it. It's the trajectory is kind of almost looks like he's just throwing it up for grabs. So he's not a deep ball thrower of note. He's not a contender for any kind of a significant role. He's a third string quarterback who can handle the short game and get you into and out of the right place at the line of scrimmage. He's got some experience. He's got about 10 starts in the NFL, or I think 9, and he's 2-7. He's the worst of the 4 quarterbacks by far. I'm not saying he's a bad player for what they're paying him. Look around the league. Look at the other third string quarterbacks. He's kind of on par with them. But if he has to play, there's concerns. And to me, he's more like a Nick Mullins. He might be able to win you a game off the bench. He might be able to win you a spot start here or there. But in reality, if you had to start him for a month, even with a really good roster, you're probably at best going to go 500. So I see real deep ball issues there. But the short stuff, you want to do the quick game, go back. I was just watching the other night. They had Niners Chargers 1994, January of 95, the last Super Bowl victory for the Niners. A lot of the stuff that Steve Young threw in that game was short stuff and intermediate stuff. A lot of what Mike Shanahan's offense was back then was predicated on how well you threw the short game, how well you operated the quick game, stuff within 5-10 yards of the line of scrimmage. Rarely were they taking big shots down the field. I don't remember seeing too many go patterns to Jerry Rice, even though he's the greatest of all time. So that is kind of the offense, and he can operate this offense for a game or two. But teams are then going to crowd the line of scrimmage, play you inside a 12-yard box, dare you to throw it over their head, and he's going to really struggle. So he's a backup quarterback in the NFL, and I think we're seeing that. As far as Sam Darnold, today was the best day that I've ever seen from Sam Darnold. He got rushed. He stepped up in the pocket. He threw with conviction. He threw with arm strength, with accuracy. Sam Darnold is got a new lease on life. He's surrounded by the most talent he's ever been surrounded by. He's energized by that. He's thrilled to be here. He knows this is his last best shot at being a starting NFL quarterback. And man, if you just saw him today, it's hard to say that Sam Darnold is not going to fulfill his potential. He was good today. Now, can he stack days and be good day after day after day after day? That's the question. That is the question. We've seen lots of turnovers in his career at SC and with the Jets and Panthers. We've seen lots of inconsistency. But man, sure looks good. Sure looks good. Throwing with conviction, great talent around him. Has a little bit of movement ability, a little bit more movement ability than I thought, to be totally honest. Today he made really good decisions. One of the things that Jesse Naylor was bringing up on the show the other night with Vish is that Sam doesn't make good decisions. And I would agree with Jesse. The film kind of shows that Sam does not make good decisions. He made good decisions today. So I think he's starting to really round into form. If he can play consistently the way he played today, he is going to be a viable NFL starter and a guy who's going to threaten Brock Purdy for the starting job. I think he's clearly moved into that role as the front runner for the number 2 quarterback job based on what I've seen so far. But once again, the pads don't come on until tomorrow. In some ways, you got to kind of pump the brakes and wait for those pads to come on. But Sam Darnold looks freaking good. He really looks good. All right, let's get to Trey Lance. Trey Lance today showed me a ton. A ton. Why? Because Friday he was terrible. Friday he can't hit layups. He can't hit Braden Willis in the flat. He's throwing it behind Jordan Mason. He's got this hangdog look like he's defeated. Now, one of the things that Jack Hammer pointed out to me this morning in the media room, and I think it's a really good point, is that I looked at Trey's body language Friday as losing confidence. Jack thinks that Kyle is talking to them on the mic, and the mic's coming through the headset. And so when he's looking down after these incompletions, I'm looking at it as, man, he looks down. He looks like he's defeated. He looks like a beaten man. He looks emotionally wrecked by some of these incompletions on some of these layups. Jack pointed out that we may be misreading the body language on Trey there, that in reality he might just be looking down as a way to kind of focus on what Kyle is saying in his earpiece inside the helmet, which is a great point. So I may have misread that on Friday for lack of confidence. But to follow up on the lack of confidence, when Trey hit the podium Friday and talked to us, I mean, he's a sweet kid, but I got this kind of vibe of like, he's kind of not very confident. And I kind of wonder how much belief I don't question his smarts and I don't question his athleticism, but I wonder if he's questioning his own, does he believe in himself? And, Grant has kind of suggested that Kyle may not be coaching him as hard this year as he did in the past, and maybe Trey's reading into that. And there is something to be said for that as far as when a coach coaches you hard, that means he loves you. When a coach tells you you're great, that also means that he loves you. When a coach no longer coaches you hard, that means he no longer loves you. So the opposite of love is not hate in the head coach, quarterback relationship. The opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference. So if Shanahan is just on to the next play and is no longer coaching him up, then that's kind of that's not a good thing. But we're not in the meetings. We don't know. Just because we're not seeing it on the field. These guys are with each other. I asked Shanahan about his routine the other day after practice. He's like, okay, we're done with practice. I go review the film. I meet with my coaches. Then we go back out there for a walkthrough. Then we have another meeting. Then we have more film sessions. These guys are around each other all day. And just because Shanahan doesn't run over to Trey Lance at the end of each play and say, you didn't do this, it does not mean that he's not coaching him or that he doesn't somewhere point out, hey, you did this, but you should have done that. Or maybe, some coaches like to coach, I know Bill Walsh liked to do this, coach the quarterback through the quarterback coach. So, Bill's telling Holmgren what to say. Holmgren's passing it on to Young in Montana. Shanahan's telling Greasy what he wants. Greasy's delivering the message to Purdy and Darnold and Lance and Allen. Do you see what I'm saying? So it doesn't all. Harbaugh was a hands-on, in-your-face, coach you up after every play, that kind of guy on the field. But just because you're not seeing it on the field doesn't necessarily mean that there's no coaching going on. Coaching can be done in the walkthrough. Coaching can be done in the hallway. Coaching can be done at the lunch table. Coaching can be done in the training room. Coaching can be done in the meeting room. I know. I've seen it. So there's that. But I think Trey had a tremendous day today. Why? Because he bounced back. He completed, I think, 5 in a row. They were a lot of shorter things underneath. It wasn't deep throws necessarily, but he was on point. The timing was right. He was moving naturally. He was throwing strikes. He did miss 3 of his last 5. The downside for Trey today was that he fumbled a snap, raised his hand, said, hey, my bad. He also missed a layup to Debo. Debo was lined up on the right side. Trey moved to his right. It literally was a pitch and catch on the sideline. You just got to throw that bad boy with a little bit of touch. Airmailed it. Debo didn't even get a finger on it. It's that kind of play that coaches will say, man, you got to make that play. You got to complete that pass, and he didn't. So we're still seeing Trey's got a gun. Trey's challenge as a thrower is, can he throw a touch? Touch and timing is the key to Trey Lance's success. He's got it here, he can process. He's got it here, he can throw. But touch and timing it's going to make him an NFL starter. And that right now, from my eyes, is a little bit of a work in progress. So that's what I see. And to me, it's really exciting. 49ers ran out of quarterbacks last year. They got 4 guys that they can win a game with on Sunday in the NFL with right now. And that's a great thing. So I think the quarterbacks, to me, I feel really good about where they're at.
I think the thing that you said that stood out to me was that part about the coaching, where as a player, you can tell when a coach gives up on you, because you have this feeling of, oh, like he's telling me to do this, or he's telling me to do that, to fix this, fix that, and you can feel it in his voice. He wants you to improve. If Trey Lance is no longer getting that from coaches, if he's messing up and they're like, hey man, you just got to make that throw, or they're just kind of giving him reps, not really telling him anything.
The resignation is what you're talking about. If they're resigned to,
they just don't really care that much about and making him improve, because the season isn't resting on his shoulders. So they're not trying their hardest to make him perfect. So maybe that's that's something that's totally mentally fatiguing. Like you could totally just be down on yourself, being like no one believes in me. I mean, I can just imagine that that's not easy for him.
Totally. One super, by the way, Mark Hope. Good to see you, Mark. He says, Larry, Trey missing throws to the flat. What gives? Well, that's the throw he struggles with. He struggles with the dimes, or the gimme stuff, the short game. But the short game's vital. The short game's vital. So it's not like it doesn't matter. It matters. But that's his challenge. He can throw the deep ball well. He can throw the crossing patterns as well as anybody. The intermediate game. It's the short game where he's got to take a little off, throw with a little bit of touch. It's a little bit more nuanced, and that makes sense. Why? Because those are the throws that take time. It takes time. He doesn't have a lot of experience. So it makes sense. It's not shocking to me that this is where Kaepernick struggled a little bit too, at times, where now Kaepernick really could never make the pass with the defender right over him, where he just layers it right over the top to the running back. But Trey's going to get there, but that's where he needs to develop. Cheat Code says biggest event in the Bay Area, in the Bay, 49ers Super Bowl 58. Or Giants versus Bochy in the World Series. I would say Giants versus Bochy in the World Series would be freaking huge, but I'll go with the Niners.
Football.
Yeah, go with football.
Let's say thanks to our sponsors before we go into the next one.
Yeah, let's thank our sponsors, and once again, we are brought to you by New York Style Italian Sausage, also Marin Auto Glass. Check them out at marinautoglass.com, 415-883-3030. And, of course, the title sponsor of the Krug Show is Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. or until they run out. In both locations now, they're open 7 days a week, both in Emeryville. They're inside the Emeryville Public Marketplace, and in Marin County, right there in Corte Madera. Pig in a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. The great Damon and Mary run a phenomenal restaurant. Just like football, if you're gonna have a good team, you got to work at it. Damon Stainbrook, the owner of Pig in a Pickle, he works at it, man. He works at it. He gets up early, he stays up late. The restaurant business is a tough business, but he has got a phenomenal spot. Check them out in Marin County. Check them out in Emeryville. Pig in a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California.
Yes, sir. Now we are, 35 minutes into this live stream?
Yeah.
We have 3 more questions left. This one is my personal favorite. I was curious about this all day today. Grant actually talked about it, and it's Brandon Aiyuk. Is he having the camp of his life? Grant says that it's the best camp he's ever seen. Matt Barrows today on Twitter put out his top 5 players from training camp, and 4 of them were Brandon Aiyuk. So obviously Brandon Aiyuk is opening eyes over there at training camp in Santa Clara. What do you see, and is he having the camp of his life?
Well, I had a chance to talk to him after practice when he hit the podium, and I got a chance to ask him a couple questions. He told me his favorite route is he likes the go balls and he likes the deep crossers. He says that like those are almost freebies. He's just playing incredible. Now, is he motivated by money? Possibly. Is he motivated by wanting to fulfill his incredible potential? Possibly. Is he motivated because Debo's in the greatest shape of his life and he wants to be the number 1 receiver? That's possible. It's a contract year for Aiyuk, and he's going to go get it. And I think he has this belief that he is, a top 5 NFL receiver, and he's trying to fulfill that potential. I remember seeing him as a sophomore at Arizona State, thinking this guy's got home run ability, but he was raw. And now he's so much more refined. Trey Lance told me Friday at the podium. I said, Trey, tell me what you think of Brandon in the camp he's having. He's like, he's catching everything. And that's the best way to say it. If the ball's underthrown, he comes back for it. If the ball's high, he goes up in a crowd for it. If the ball's low, he goes to the ground for it. I mean, this guy is making it personal. Every time the ball's in the air, it's like it's personal. And it's like it's my job to catch it. He's humble. He's serious as a heart attack. He's putting it in the face of the defense. There's going to be some fights. I guarantee you that. There's going to be some fights, and Brandon Aiyuk's going to start them because he's got swag. He's got some serious swag. He knows he's good, and he wants to show everybody he's good. The play today that he made on the deep crosser from Darnold, the defender was right with him. Where he reminds me a little bit of T.O. is I don't know what Brandon runs in the 40, but with the ball in his hands, he's much faster. You notice like T.O. and Rice had pedestrian 40 times, but they always ran away with the ball in their hands. That's what Aiyuk does. Aiyuk, with the ball in his hands, becomes faster. And he caught a ball today, and the defender was right there. And as soon as Aiyuk landed, he put his foot in the ground, and it was gone. It was awesome. I'll say this: if you're in fantasy football, Niner receivers are hard to take because Shanahan moves the ball around. They have a lot of weapons. They run the ball a lot. Aiyuk's going to be premier this year. Premier. Special player.
Super excited to see him. I'm honestly just really, really just intrigued to see like what's going to come from it. Because
best player on the field.
Yeah.
Best player on the field.
Undoubtedly. Everyone's saying that. So, I mean, I haven't seen it. I've seen clips on 49ers Instagram of him making a couple catches here and there. But it's going to be very interesting to see him break
He's
out.
a monster, and he's humble. And I love talking to the guy. I'm going to do some individual interviews with him this year in the locker room if I get a chance. And and maybe not because he's such a star that he's probably going to go to the podium. They're going to send him to the podium and say, Krug, stop interviewing him in the locker room. Last year, I could do interviews right in front of his locker. I saw him eating some Honey Nut Cheerios in the playoffs, and I'm like, bro, you got time to talk? No, he was walking by me, Kevin. I said, are those regular or is that Honey Nut? And he goes, Honey Nut. I'm like, hey, man, you got a couple minutes? And then I did an interview with him that lasted so long that his cereal was soggy. But the guy is unfreaking believable right now. Unfreaking believable. He's on a different level, and he's it's funny. He tweeted out a rocket ship. Remember, was it April or May?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah,
I'm getting ready for liftoff, and we all kind of asked him. Teasy says honey nut all day. We kind of asked him, hey, what were you tweeting out there? Now we know. The guy is absolutely going to take off and be monster all year. He is their number one weapon in a room full of the league's best weapons. He's the number one weapon.
Kyle Shanahan today said that he's obsessed with football. Not Kyle.
That's awesome. Yeah. Oh, it's great to hear.
And you love to hear that. Yeah. Love to hear that.
I mean, that's you wish
last year. Yeah.
Yeah, you wish every guy on the team was like that. Some guys are just good at it. This guy, there's an obsession with the game right now, and there's an obsession with being really, really good. And this is the way the NFL is. You come in, you adjust to it as a rookie, you make leaps and bounds growth in year 2, and then in year 3 and 4, you're in your prime, and it's go time, and that's where he's at. He's in the sweet spot, and if I were the Niners, I think I might want to get, as soon as that Bosa deal, the ink's dry on the Bosa deal, I think I'm calling Aiyuk's agent and saying, you know what, let's just get it done right now.
I was just
let's get it done right now, because every day that goes by, it's costing Parag and John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan and Jed more money. So let's get that deal done soon.
I know. If this camp is a statement camp for him.
Yeah.
So,
he looks so good. And here's the other thing. Other guys take a day off. He doesn't. When was the last time you saw this guy take a day off?
He's not taking vet days. He's not taking vet days at all.
No.
He's there every day.
He's just out there. He is, he's getting it. He's going to go get it. Money's on the table, and he's going to go get it, and it's a delight to watch. Mark
really
Hope
is.
says, BY, or not BY, he's talking about Brandon Aiyuk, BA. From Kyle's doghouse to the penthouse.
Seriously. 100%. All right, well, let's go to number 4. No days off. Love it. For us or for BA?
No days off for us. Though I did wear my lotion today, and I wore my my Texas Longhorns hat that you gave me. I had a guy from the NFL Network see me, and he's like, "Hey, hook 'em horns." And I didn't have the nerve to tell him, "Hey, I'm actually an A&M fan," but he the hat was getting some looks.
I went into UT Austin's team store, and that thing is massive, and I just had to come out of there with some stuff. It's sick.
Oh, I bet.
It's sick.
It's a great hat.
Yeah, it definitely beats Stanford or Cal's over here in California for sure. Whatever they have for a team store.
So you did also get me a really nice Cal Poly hat, and maybe later in camp I'll sport the Cal Poly. But the Texas hat, elicits a lot of, they
have like 200 hats on a wall. I had to ask a lady to go upstairs to get me the right size, but she wasn't very happy about that. But
we got it.
We got it done. We got it done.
Do we have it right here? Wait. Oh, it's in the house.
I don't know. It's too bad. Okay. The 49ers offensive line. Who's going to be the swing tackle? Is there a sleeper swing tackle potentially? 2 names that have been talked about a lot: Ilm Manning and Jalen Moore. What are you seeing? What do you think?
Well, Trent Williams didn't play today, and when Trent's not playing, Matt Pryor, I think, is listed as the number 2 left tackle, but Jalen Moore has been playing with the number 1s. Matt Pryor, I don't think, showed up to minicamp in shape. He looked kind of out of shape. And the one thing, it's like, 40, whether it's the late Bob McKittrick in the 80s or 90s, or if it's CFO, Chris Forster here in 2023, Niners demand that their offensive linemen are in shape and can move. And Pryor is in better shape than he was in minicamp, but he's still not in tip-top condition. Jalen Moore, I think if today was the cut down, McKivitz and Trent are your starters. Jalen Moore is the swing tackle. The other guys that may be options would be Ilm Manning and Nick Zakel, who I think are more guards than tackles. I'm not that impressed with what I've seen out of Pryor or Leroy Watson or our buddy Alfredo Gutierrez. I mean, as far as I don't think they're going to get the swing tackle role. I think they're a little bit. I think the Niners will go in a different direction, but I think it's going to be Jalen Moore, 5th round pick in 2021. It's his time to shine, and I don't feel great about it because I haven't seen a lot of great tape from Jalen Moore, but he definitely has the body for the game. He's definitely got the dimensions and what you're looking for in a left tackle. So I would say Jalen Moore and Il Manning are kind of in the mix for that left tackle spot, but Jalen Moore is the guy.
Yeah, it seems like a theme of this year with the offensive line is, hey, we drafted this guy a couple years ago. It's time. Same thing with McKivitz. It's kind of scary in my opinion. I know you believe in McKivitz, and I do too, to some extent. I haven't really seen enough of him to make a strong opinion, but
he had a false start today. But yeah. I think Colton's a good player. You got to remember it's a passing game, and I think he's a better pass protector than McGlinchey. But people act like it's like, oh my God, they've got all kinds of questions. They got the best left tackle in the game in Trent Williams. They got a really good guard tandem in Burford and Banks. They've got a Pro Bowl alternate center in Jake Brendel. You got the veteran John Feliciano in camp if Brendel can't go. You got some good young prospects in Zakel and Il Manning and Jason Poe and Joey Fisher at guard. So Jalen Moore is a key guy for the 49ers. They don't have elite tackle depth, and they need Jalen Moore to fire. They need Jalen Moore to show up and play really good football this year, and they may need him at some point. And he's a key guy. So he is a guy that may have to see the field. He's 6'4", 315 pounds. I liked him in the draft coming out of Western Michigan. I've interviewed him before. This guy played 5 years at Western Michigan. And is was a good player. And kind of a guy that his body kind of grew up late. He put on like 25 pounds as a senior in high school. He was a high school tight end who moved to offensive line, and then he played for PJ Fleck, and he made the transition to the offensive line his senior year, and comes from a football family. His cousin Timothy Ford played at Siena, and I really like Jalen Moore. I just think Jalen Moore's got a lot of potential to be a significant player for the Niners, but it's got to happen. And it's got to happen this year because they need him right now. They need him right now to have his best camp, and he'll be one of the guys that I'll be looking at very closely because in the preseason because there's other veterans that the Niners could potentially trade for, and if they don't see either Jalen Moore come of age, Matt Pryor really play well, or Il Manning or one of these guys really shows some surprise ability, they're probably going to be forced to trade for a swing tackle before week 1. I mean, that's the reality. So they're not, they got some contingency plans at running back. They got some options at receiver. We've already gone into their options at quarterback. They don't have options or a lot of options at tackle. So it's Jalen Moore or Matt Pryor, or they're probably going to have to trade for somebody or pick somebody up off the waiver wire. And that's a tough spot to be in because that's an important position. I mean, literally, all of a sudden, you can be in the middle of a game, and now you've got, this guy that you just picked up off the street playing left tackle. So it means a ton. Tom Compton is still out there. Would they go after Compton? He's not really a left tackle. Lael Collins may get bumped in Cincinnati. He may get dealt. Would they trade for a Lael Collins? That's possible. So that's a spot to really look at. It's It's hard to find NFL tackles. That's why they go in the top 20 of the first round of the draft most of the time. So big, Jalen Moore. If you said, "Hey, give me 5 under the radar guys for the Niners who are vitally important to their season this year," Jalen Moore's one of them. Your swing tackle matters.
Yeah. Last year, he had 188 snaps, 2 allowed sacks, played the majority of his snaps in week 5 and 6 against Carolina, Atlanta. Didn't play terrible against Carolina, but played not too great against Atlanta. Actually had a decent game against Carolina. So we'll see. Hopefully,
a couple supers here, Kev. Mark Hope says, "Glad to hear Dad had a hat on. Hook 'em horns." There you go. And Bang Bang 415 says, "What week in the season do you guess we bring back Dante Johnson? Underrated GOAT." Yeah, it's like Dante Johnson. It's like, he's like the guy that's like on standby. He's like probably staying at the Hyatt in Santa Clara right now, just working out in the exercise room. I mean, he's like always nearby.
So is Josh Johnson.
I'm not going to say anything to that.
He lives nearby.
That's right. He doesn't live nearby, but I don't think they'll be going the Josh Johnson route this year.
Yeah, you're probably right. Do we have any more supers or?
No, those I just read those.
All right. The last topic of the night. We're 51 minutes into this, and that's okay because after this, I need to cut up and then go to bed.
Cut up and then cut out.
What time is camp tomorrow?
I believe here. I'll tell you. I got the schedule here. Tomorrow is Monday, so John Lynch is scheduled to talk in the auditorium at 9:15. Practice with pads on begins at 10:25. Join me, by the way, tomorrow after practice. Grant Cohn and I will go live on his channel tomorrow. And then Tuesday, the Niners also practice at 10:25. And we'll be doing another live stream Tuesday later after practice. And then Wednesday, Grant's going to come on the Krug Show. And also Kyle Posey from Niners Nation, who's in town from Arizona. Kyle Posey is going to join us on Wednesday, the 49er off day. And also Wednesday at 5 o'clock, I'll be doing a live stream on the East Coast Red and Gold podcast at 5 o'clock Pacific. And then Thursday night, live stream with Vish and Jesse, 6:30 on the Vish Kumaran channel.
Packed schedule.
Very packed. And I'm going to try to chase down Jordan Elliott, too, this week, maybe Tuesday.
Sounds good. All right, well, let's wrap it up here. Last question.
Don't forget the coach on Saturday. We had 600 people in the room on the coach's stream. I talked to the coach this morning. He's fired up. We'll hit it again Saturday.
All right. The tight end position has been talked about probably the least so far this week. But it's one of the biggest question marks with the number 2 spot. Who do you think will take that number 2 spot off of what you've seen this week?
It's July 30th, and I'll make the prediction right now. The 49ers' number 2 tight end is going to be Braden Willis. Braden Willis did not make a catch today, but he dove full dive at the pylon at the goal line in the red zone drill, and just made a tremendous effort. And that's what I see. Like, Fumagalli, I don't think it's 100%. I saw him working out on the side field. Dwelly's a receiver. Charlie Warner is a try-hard blocker. Cameron Latou has got a lot of upside. Big-bodied guy who could potentially be real strong as an inline blocker. Has shown a little bit as a receiver. But Latou hasn't shown as much. I mean, we'll see. I mean, I haven't even noticed Latou out there since training camp began. I mean, I saw him a little bit in the mini camp. He made a couple plays. And I try not to look for guys. I try just to let them kind of organically kind of show themselves. And Braden Willis is his. I can see why the Niners had the gold helmet designation on Braden Willis, because the effort and the desire that Braden Willis shows is tremendous. I mean, he really is a nice-looking young player. This guy will break tackles. He'll run through arm tackles. He's just a really, really solid prospect. I mean, there's a lot to like about Braden Willis. Just a really, I mean, he's not the biggest guy. He's not the fastest guy, but he's a tenacious blocker. He can pick off guys in space. And then when he catches it, he refuses to go down. His effort, this guy was a 3-star recruit in high school who, went to Oklahoma, and it was kind of a slow build, but by the end there, this guy was flashing everything you want. He's got soft hands. He's really good at tracking the ball. He's got good body control. He's got quickness, which is a really underrated trait in any receiver. Really sure-handed. He's improving every day as a route runner. He's there's a lot to like with Braden Willis, and I really like him. And that effort today. Now, he didn't make the catch. A lot of times we're so into, did you make the catch? Okay, if you make the catch, if you made the play, then we're like all about you. But if you didn't make the play, it's like your effort didn't matter. Well, this guy's effort is, he's got long arms. He makes the effort. He runs through arm tackles. He needs to kind of learn how to sit in a soft spot against zone, and just kind of sit in those open areas. But this guy's a high-effort player. And if you just want guys who are ballers who are going to be out there competing, this guy will compete. And, man, he competed for a ball today. I mean, it was incredible to watch. So I love what I'm seeing out of Braden Willis. I think Braden Willis is going to be the tight end too. I think he's going to emerge as the best option other than Kittle. He's just there's just so much to like about his football character. I mean, this is a guy who, if you'll hear some guys talk about other guys in the team, and they'll say, "Man, this guy's just a flat out dog." Well, you know what? That's what Braden Willis is. Braden Willis is just a flat out dog. He'll compete. He's the kind of guy that you'll go to battle with because of his level of compete. I love what I'm seeing about his football character. This guy, when he picks you off in space, he's looking to bury you into the ground. He doesn't want to just block you; he wants to bury you. And then when he's running his routes in the middle of the field, now granted they haven't put the pads on, but this guy doesn't tiptoe. He ain't soft-footing it across the middle of the field. He doesn't show any alligator arms or anything like that. He's a perfect Niner, because the Niners, between Aiyuk, Juwan, Debo, Kittle, they're the strongest receiving core in the middle of the field in the league. They never turn down hits. They never are hearing footsteps. If you watch NFL football as much as I do, you'll see it. I mean, every team, every Sunday, somebody's like kind of short-arming it. Somebody's kind of peeking. Where's the safety? Where's the linebacker? Am I going to get starched? The Niners don't, ever. None of those guys do. They run with total conviction in the middle of the field, and Braden Willis does as well, and that's why he fits in. And I just think he's going to be really, really good. Really excited about Braden Willis. Tight end 2. You heard it here first on July the 30th. When they go double tight end sets and they're looking for somebody else with Kittle, it's going to be Braden Willis.
Love to hear that. Love to hear that what you thought day one after the draft, and probably what the 49ers thought as well, is coming to fruition right now. Nothing's changed. He's just a ferocious blocker.
And you can see why. And it's like, you're looking at this guy going, wait a second. This guy got the gold helmet designation, but he's not quite a tight end size, and his measurables are just okay. And then you turn on this Oklahoma film, and you're like, oh, now I get it. This guy, it takes him 2 and 3 guys to get this guy down. He no arm tackle ever brings this guy down. He gives a second effort, third effort. I guess if there would be one concern that I would have, and I'm sure Brian Fleury, the tight end coach, has talked to him about it. If he hasn't, he will. You got to protect the ball. When you're a second and third and fourth and fifth effort kind of guy, and you're just going to keep those legs churning and you're going to fight and claw for every yard, that's fine. But, the first guy hits you, the second guy's stripping you. So don't lose possession of the ball. So if he's in the midst of second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth effort, two hands on the ball, keep that thing locked up because possession of the ball means everything. And nobody cares that you really fought like crazy for 3 extra yards if you fumbled or if somebody popped it out of there. So you got to really take care of the ball. But as long as he focuses in the midst of his second and third effort, I mean, the first question is, can you find a guy who will give you a second and third effort? Chap says, Larry, he's really slow and not good in and out of cuts. No, I know. I can see it. He doesn't have the measurables. Braden Willis is all about heart and fight and compete. He's not a perfect player. There's bigger players, faster players, guys who are better route runners, guys who are more sure-handed. It's everything about Willis is about what's inside that chest. He's got tremendous heart, tremendous fight. That's what makes him the player that he is. That's a good point by you, chap.
Yeah. Well, that does it for the
1 hour even.
Yeah, we're right on the money.
Channel's blowing up, Kev. I'm loving some of the TikToks and some of the IG reels. I'll put a few more out on YouTube after, or on Twitter, I should say, after the live stream here. But Channel's been doing really well in the last 24 hours. How many views are we getting?
Yeah, the last 48 hours have probably been the best in Channel history. In the last 48 hours, we've done over like 100,000 views, I believe, in the last 48 hours. Yeah, it's just blowing up right now. I want to say thank you to every single person who watches any single one of the videos, because if you're watching the content, you're supporting us. Really appreciate it. If you want to follow the Instagram. We post Instagram reels on there. It's some good stuff. But yeah, just keep watching the content, liking and subscribing. It helps us. And yeah.
We're closing in on 20,600. We're at 20,583 subs. So if you're one of the 325 people hanging in the room right now and you've yet to hit like and subscribe, please do. Please hit like, please hit subscribe, and follow the channel. And if you hit like, it just helps more people find the streams. If you hit subscribe and hit that notification bell, every time we go live, you'll get an alert on your phone and you can jump in here. David Montez says, "What's up, guys? Can you shout out my wife, Emily?" Hey, Emily. How you doing?
You rock, Emily.
You're the best, Emily. You're the best, Montez, Emily. David's lucky to have you. He outkicked his coverage. I hate when people say that to me. Hey, Krug, you really outkicked your coverage. How do you know?
What does that even mean?
How do you know? Maybe she's lucky to have me. Now, David, we're serious, though. Thanks for watching. And Emily, you're the brains of the operation for allowing David to watch the Krug Show. Wait. We got another chat here from Mark Hope. Who says, Larry, thoughts on the NFL running back contract issues, especially right after Mr. Jim Brown's death, seems very scummy to me as a fan from the 70s. It's concerning. Well, I will say this. We can get into this. It's funny. There's a lot of different standards, a lot of different thoughts on this. We're in an analytics world, and the analytics say that it's not smart business to give running backs the second contract. And then I'll give you an example. The running backs are being devalued because they're everywhere. Kalen Laburn and Ronald Awatt are decent NFL backs. Neither of them were drafted. Look at the 49er depth chart right now. McCaffrey was a number one, but Elijah Mitchell went in the 6th round. Jordan Mason wasn't drafted. Who's better, Elijah Mitchell, Jordan Mason, or Ty Davis Price? Price went in the 3rd round. Mitchell was in the 6th, and Mason was undrafted. So, that's the problem. Everybody's analyzing everything. It's kind of groupthink. I'd love to see some something added to the CBA that compensated running backs for what they did in the present as opposed to everybody else, where you're just like you're paid down the road on what you did early on, because NFL backs get used early on a lot. And then like if I don't care if you're a rookie, if you go for 1,500 yards, you ought to get a stipend or a significant bonus on top of your what your contract was. Rookies don't make a lot. If Kalen Laburn somehow, because of injury, becomes the Niners' number one back and he runs for 1,500 yards, why should the team get an unbelievable steal of a deal while the running back's piling up carries that are going to shorten his career? Pay him a massive bonus that reflects his production and roll it into next year's cap, and stop allowing teams to use players early in their career and then throw them away when it's time to pay them. We're seeing it more and more. I mean, the last guy to, I think, lead the league in rushing and be on a Super Bowl team was like Sean Alexander. Look at the Super Bowl champion. Who was their running back? Isaiah Pacheco. Look at Philly. They went with a can full of backs. Miles Sanders had a career year. Did they pay him? No. He had to go to Carolina to get paid. But I understand. People are like, well, you can't make a difference just for the running backs. Why not? You can do whatever you want. There's a ton of money in the sport. We can't sit here and pretend the running backs aren't vital. You can't have a conversation with anybody about how to win football games without talking about running the ball and stopping the run. So let's stop stiffing the running backs, using their bodies and kicking them to the curb when it's time to pay them. If Isaiah Pacheco performs like an all-pro as a rookie, he should make his rookie money and a massive bonus that reflects his all-pro contribution and roll it into next year's cap. Is it really that complicated? They just don't want to do it. They don't want to change the rules for the running back. The running back's a unique position. The running back, when Kev played high school football, he played wide receiver in corner. I remember one day he came home. He said, "Dad, they may use me at running back." I'm like, I don't want to see you play running back, because running backs get crushed. Running backs get destroyed. Running backs take a hit on every snap. Your life can end as a running back. I mean, the way these guys run into these in training camp, you're like, oh my God, the collisions that we're going to see in the NFL with running backs, they're the biggest collisions in the sport. And they say that a typical hit in the NFL that a running back takes is like being in a car crash at 30 miles per hour. So let's stop pretending they're not valuable. Let's stop making, and then we always try to pretend that these guys are greedy. Josh Jacobs and his holdout. What else is he going to do? How else is he going to make a buck? He's got no recourse other than to hold out. So I just said what I would do. I'd amend the CBA, and the CBA doesn't come up till 2027. We cannot wait till 2027 to make this adjustment. Make it now.
Yeah.
And don't tell me there's not enough money. This is a $20 billion industry. There may not be a healthier industry in America than the NFL. The NFL's revenue pie jumps by the billions every year. There's a ton of money in the sport. And with gambling becoming, now they're partnering with all these gambling entities, there's more money than ever. We're going to sit here and take all this cash from all these different entities and then say, running back, sorry. We're going to cry poor mouth. No, that's not good enough.
I feel bad for the running backs 100%. I see how they're just not getting the same, but it's not like teams hate running backs. It just seems like teams are cutting corners to save money on the cap, and teams realize after a couple of years that it's not worth it for them to pay the running backs as much as they pay them. I mean, I feel like if any position in the NFL has the smallest margin of being elite to being average, I feel like it's running backs. Because if you run 5 yards per carry, you're elite. If you run 3 yards per carry, you're average. And it just takes a few tweaks to the leg before you're slower, not as fast, not as twitchy, and you're not as good of a running back anymore. So I feel for the running backs. I feel for the running backs 100%, but they it's a dangerous position where you can get hit one time and you're not the same running back anymore. So I could see why teams in a cap sport don't want to be giving money to running backs and not to other positions when they're trying to win a Super Bowl.
It used to be in the draft, the greatest running backs went in the top 5. Now the Falcons took the Texas back, Bijan Robinson, and people are like, what? What the heck are they doing?
He's the highest paid running back in the league right now.
Is he?
Yeah.
Bijan?
13 mil. Yeah. Highest paid running back in the league.
Because of his draft position, because he went 8th overall?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. But I mean, make the adjustment. Don't tell us you can't. You know, I watched Colin Cowherd's video on it, and he's like, the fans always side with the players. Okay, fine. So what? He's probably right about that. So now we're gonna use that as a justification to not pay the guys when every coach in football. How many times are you going to hear a coach interviewed and be like, yeah, we're just going to try to run the ball, we're going to try to stop the run, make them one-dimensional. Okay, if it's that important, then maybe we ought to pay these guys. You know what I mean? If running the ball is the key to winning football, then maybe we got to pay these guys. Kyle Shanahan's offense is predicated off the play-action fusion game. That his pass game in the play action looks just like the run game. It's all predicated with a successful run game. But also, you look at Kyle Shanahan and Mike Shanahan, they were able to find, running backs that fit their system later in the draft. So we've devalued them in the draft. We're using them up as, rookie running backs are getting opportunities earlier, but no running backs getting a second contract. And then we just sit there and go, oh, well, it's not fair. It's absolutely not fair. So my idea is, look, you got a rookie scale, you got a whatever you're paying them. If a guy produces at an absurd level, recognize it, acknowledge it, and compensate him for it. And if it's got to be rolled into next year's cap, so be it. Why should Kansas City get some awesome deal as they're riding, Pacheco, to the Super Bowl? And he's taking monster hits from C.J. Gardner-Johnson in the Super Bowl, but he's not really getting paid. Why? The guy's the best back on the best team in the game. I think he ought to get paid. Riddy Musich says, before you go, will Brock Purdy be practicing this Thursday, August the 3rd, or does he have an off day that day? The schedule, and now it's always subject to change, but the schedule is they've got scheduled off days for Brock, and I believe it's 3 on, 1 off. So he's going to practice tomorrow. That's Monday. He's going to practice Tuesday, and he's going to practice Wednesday. So Riddy, from what I can tell, Thursday, it's likely that Brock will not be there. So if you want to come out to practice, I would imagine you're asking because you're going to come out to practice. If you're going to come out to practice, and I don't know, I don't have the fan days and what days it's open to the fans. But if I was guessing today, I would say Brock doesn't practice on Thursday. So take that for what it is. Do with it what you will. One other one here from Digital Drew. Larry, one bit of constructive criticism. Criticism? No, I'm just kidding. On your instant reactions from the facility. A wireless lavalier mic would go a long, long way. Audio quality on YouTube is extremely important for getting views.
I forgot to mention this. Can I say something?
Yeah.
I forgot to mention this. I bought a mic today.
A wireless lavalier?
It's not wireless, but it's a wired lavalier. So it'll connect, and then it'll be a little mic.
How long is the cord?
It's 6 meters. So
6 meters? What is this? What are we in Paris?
It's eternal. It's a long
meter
cord. You can
kilometer. It's a kilometer, my friend.
It's a long meter. Yeah. So it's like
how long's a meter?
18 feet. It's an 18-foot long. Yeah. Right, or maybe it's 5 meters, but it's still you have some slack on the cord.
Okay.
But it'll.
Oh wait.
Your shirt.
Old computer says, yeah, audio sucks. Hey,
yeah,
easy.
No, I saw too many comments that are like, "Oh, this is terrible. This is terrible." So, I'm already on it, TZ. Don't worry, I'm already on it.
TZ's like, today. Kev, get on it. All right,
Dusty
man.
Dusty Gold. We all know Larry went to the Taylor Swift concert, probably front row seats. That's where he got his tan.
Yeah. Taylor. They were breaking that thing down today, or I guess the other day. And the noise was incredible. Being Butterfly says Larry will be the best sounding reporter at the Niners interviews. I'll tell you, you know what's almost entertaining to watch? It's almost entertaining for like a major concert like Taylor Swift. It's entertaining as hell watching them do all the things that it takes to set up for a concert of that magnitude and to break it all down. I mean, you're talking about cranes and manpower and movement. And,
for her,
I mean, you're a construction
that's
management.
Crazy because say what?
You're a construction management guy. You know how when they construct a building or whatever, I mean, they've got plans and everybody knows exactly what they're doing. I mean, it was entertaining to watch. I mean, I'm out there taping some of these videos and I'm looking and it's like there's crews of people and some of them are running cranes and some of them are setting up barriers and it's like
it's a logistic nightmare. Yeah.
Somebody's got a plan. I mean, what's the job? What is the name of the job for the people who do that kind of stuff?
I don't know because it's not
something.
These
people are seriously pros.
I knew a guy that did that and then transferred out of that. But setting up for it's not the same thing because you're not building like a real building. It's like it's temporary. It's all temporary structures. But I mean, the one thing I thought was crazy is the immaculate timing that they had because the 49ers were practicing in that facility. They set it up during that week. The concert was Friday night and then Saturday day. And then it's all gone.
But the concert's inside the stadium. The Niners practice outside the stadium on the practice facility.
Well, but they definitely planned it around the practice, though, because the concert was Saturday day and Friday night, I think, and they didn't have practice for the 49ers.
Was it two shows? I thought it was just Friday night.
It was two shows.
Was it two?
Double show.
Oh, it was two shows.
Yeah. And they sold out both nights.
Oh, wow. It was I'll tell you, man, I left there 2:00 on Friday, and I've never seen, more teenage girls in sequin dresses lined up. I mean, if that show was like a 7:00 show, we're talking about 5-6 hours in the broiling hot sun, well before the show. People selling pink hats and all kinds of signs, and I mean, it was just it's amazing. It's amazing. Forktail
should have gone.
Forktail Devil, says the boosted audio is awesome, Kev.
Oh, he's talking about I boosted all the camp, all the audio from the press conferences because it's usually pretty low. I just maxed it out as loud as I can make it.
Always Drip 805 says, yeah, Larry, when you're doing the presser, your audio is low when you're asking the players questions. That one I'm not on the mic. That's the mic. That is what? That's the auditorium that the 49ers have, and they have a mic. So it's like I'm not speaking into the mic. The player's speaking into the mic. He's supposed to be able to hear my question, but not everybody else can hear it. Or not everybody else can hear it as loud, right? They don't care about how loud we are.
It's not ideal. It's not ideal because you're asking a question and your phone's right next to you and the player's like 20 feet away from you. So it's never ideal. So I usually end up having to boost the player's answer so it sounds like normal and then lower your voice. So it's just kind of a nightmare. But
we've gotten some good questions and answers. I'll put a few of them out on Twitter later tonight.
Oh, wait, we should mention the dog. The dog that was named after Larry today.
Yeah, guy sent me a YouTube comment that he named his dog after me. Do you have the deal? Let's see. I think I have it on my phone.
Yeah.
The phone. No, the phone. I'm out of juice, so I can't see it on my phone.
I'll pull it up. I sent it to you.
Also, we get this one from the Remix channel. He says wireless mics only generate MP3 quality. Wired is triple the quality.
Well, good thing we got a wired one. So we're chilling.
There you go. Remix. Kev's always thinking.
The comment is this. John Lechtenberg 1069 said, "Good morning, Larry. It's good to see you at the field early. I really appreciate having Mr. Kruger filling me in because I know he's football wise and people smart. I still miss you and Gary cutting it up on KMBR, but like they said, you can't keep a good broadcaster down. I'm really looking forward to the season, and I will be hanging on your every word, Larry. I even named my dog after you. Good luck this year. Stay healthy, my man.
Yes.
So that was an interesting comment.
You know what? That's a second dog named after me. We had a dog in studio at KMBR from the Animal Rescue Foundation, and we did a whole segment with them, and they named a German Shepherd after me. It was a girl German Shepherd. I'm like, you're naming your girl German Shepherd after me? Thank you. But I wonder, do you think he's naming his dog Larry or Krug or Kruger or Larry Kruger? Either way, is there a way you can fire back to the guy and say, can we either meet the dog or get a picture of the dog? I'd love to get a picture of that dog. We'll put it on our show.
Yeah.
And I'd like to know what he's actually calling the dog.
Yeah, I texted, or I didn't text him. I responded to the comment, said I need a pic of that dog. Just because I thought it'd be funny, because we need a picture of the dog to see what.
No, I want to put a at the end of each show.
What if it's an ugly dog? Then it's like kind of a disrespect.
Some dog that's kind of shaky. Yeah, it's
a hairless dog, and it's like limping. It's like, that's Larry Kruger.
Hey, welcome. You know what? I don't care what the dog looks like. We're gonna love that dog till the end. We're gonna put a picture of that dog on the stream. We'll just at the end of the stream we'll say, and thanks to Larry Kruger. So we can thank that dog. I want that dog to be a fixture on our live streams going forward. I mean, that's an honor, man. Seriously, that I tweeted it out. I said it's one of the highlights of my career to have somebody name their dog after me. Mark Hope says, Larry the Haters, your thoughts. 22,000 subs. Mark, the haters gonna hate.
What does 22,000 subs mean?
I'm not really sure. No, he said 22,000 subs. That's a question mark. We're at 20,000, approaching 20,600. But we picked up a lot of subs. We're gaining basically 1,000 subs every 2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
So that's going good. But as far as the haters, I don't feel. Do we have a lot of haters? I guess we got a few. Everybody's gonna have some.
Few. It depends what you're talking about. If you're talking about Trey Lance, people hate. Occasionally, like I'd say like 1% hater.
G. Martinez says, did he name him Larry or Krugy? Mark Hope says, Larry and Gary, the best show on radio. Thanks, Larry. You're the best. Thank you, Mark. And thank you for all the supers, by the way, Mark. Jeez, man. Appreciate you, bro. Empty in the clip. Wait a second. Dusty Gold says, I'm still betting on 30,000 subs by the time the season starts, Larry. Kev, can we get to 30,000 by week 1 at Heinz Field? That is September. That's September 10th or 15th. Can we? It was basically like a month and a half. Can we, in 6 weeks, can we get? That'd almost have to be a controversy of some kind.
I was gonna say we might hit 30K by the end of the season. 30K in a couple weeks would be insane.
If the dog, if it's like a real vicious dog that's named Larry Kruger and it attacks somebody and kills somebody and there's a huge controversy, maybe we'll get there.
Kill somebody?
Other than that, I don't think we're going to get there. Because seriously, we're going to need that dog to be controversial. We're going to have some kind of controversy to get to 30,000 before.
The first game's on the 10th, so that's in a month and a half. I'd say we'll probably have 22,000 subs by the beginning of the season.
22?
Yeah. Or
no, not 22, 25.
It's only in a month and a half.
All right. Well, we can always dream. Hey, we're if we get it rolling, if we really get it rolling.
Sure.
Riddy Musich, he says it's both, Larry. It's both.
Oh, wait. Flabe just dropped.
What do you Flabe? Hey, Krugs. Only
plural.
day 4 and Darny Dimes has looked the best 3 days in a row. Think the gap between him and Trey will only widen with more time in the system with teammates. Or he's not asking, he's saying. Question, does Brock watch 11 on 11? Ooh, that's a good question. Brock was running on the sideline, and I don't know if he went into the weight room or if he went in to get, some kind of treatment, or if he was put on a sweatshirt and he's hanging out. That's a good question. I would say he's not watching 11 on 11. That would be my guess. But I'll look. I'll look next time he's not out there. But yeah, Darnold, if you're one of these people that's like Darnold sucks, and I'm not a believer in Darnold, I won't pretend that I am. If he plays the way he played today, he's going to be QB2. And then the question is, are the 49ers going to keep Trey Lance as a $9 million QB3?
Oh, God.
I mean, that is the question. That is maybe the question of questions. If Darnold is QB2 and Brock is QB1, will the Niners take I was talking to John Lund today from KMBR, good friend of mine, and he said what he heard is that the best offers that the 49ers had gotten on Trey Lance during the draft were conditional fifth-round picks in the 24 draft. Conditional fifth-round picks.
Wow.
So here's the question. If Darnold beats out Trey and Trey's QB3, will the Niners prefer to have Trey on the roster at $9 million? Still, the entire quarterback room is only $15 million, so it's still very reasonable. Or will they take their conditional fifth-round pick, let's just say that's the offer, and clear as much cap room so they could retain as many of their star core players in 2024? That is the question. Now, there's a lot has to happen between now and then, and there's a lot of competition left, and I'm not going to sit here. I've predicted that Trey will beat out Darnold in the preseason. I'll stay with that for the moment. But today, Darnold was the best quarterback in the field, and he looked great. He looked absolutely great. So,
what 2024 fifth-round conditional pick?
That's what Johnny Lund said, yeah.
Jesus. Yeah, I mean, they're not going to trade him for that.
Well, but then it's not about the pick. It's about getting him off the cap. Because then I don't know.
Yeah,
I hope
it's
God.
Be interesting to see.
Oh, that's going to be a bad day. That is going to be a bad day if that happens.
Yeah, imagine if you're reporting, the 49ers just traded Trey Lance for a conditional fifth-round pick. People are going to lose their minds. I mean, I would be losing my mind.
Yeah.
That would not be a good
And there'll be some criticism. There'll be some 100%. Real criticism. Yeah. And maybe deserved.
Another one from Flav.
Flav says, I just don't think any team will take Trey with that contract and how he's looked. 49ers might have to give Trey plus a third for someone good like Sweat. It's funny that you say that, Trey, or Flav, is that I kind of predicted that if the 49ers were to pivot off of Trey, that's exactly the kind of move that they would make. They would move not necessarily a third, but like Trey and another asset for like a player that's good, that, you know what I mean, where it's kind of like murky, like what's the return? Like we don't, a pick, we know what round a fifth round is. We know with the value of a fourth round pick. But if you traded Trey and a pick for somebody like Montez Sweat, and now you've got Montez Sweat and Nick Bosa, and you could look your fans in the eye and say, hey, man, we're all about winning the bowl. And we just added a big-time edge rusher. I think it plays much better. I think it also kind of camouflages what exactly you're getting in value. So, anyway, just something to think about. Kev, good stuff. Hour and a half in. Let's cut it right here. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Thanks to New York Style Sausage. Thanks to Marin Auto Glass. Here's what Pig and a Pickle looks like in their location. They've got 2 locations in Emeryville and Corte Madera. Here's what they look like in Marin.
So New York style sausage was started over 70 years ago. We are the largest producer of fresh Italian sausage on the West Coast.
What makes our sausage in New York style is really the recipe came from back east, from New York, from Connecticut.
If you look at all of our labels, there's maximum 4 or 5 ingredients, which we're really proud of.
There's no preservatives, no MSG, fresh in, fresh out.
The pork comes in fresh, goes out fresh. There's never any freezing throughout the process. We've always used fine quality cuts. We're never gonna deter from that. It's one of the reasons why our sausage is so good. I guarantee you put our sausage up against anybody else's from a flavor standpoint, no one will beat it, hands down.
And do yourself a favor and do me a favor. Go buy a package of the New York style Italian sausage. Guaranteed you will love it, guaranteed.
All right, that's going to do it for us tonight. Thanks to Kev. Thanks to all you guys. Thanks for the super chats. Thanks for the sponsors. Thanks to the sponsors, Marin Autoglass, New York Style Italian Sausage, and Pig and a Pickle. Best barbecue in Northern California. Back at it tomorrow. The grind continues. I'll be in Santa Clara at 9:15 for John Lynch's press conference, and then the Niners hit the field for the very first time with the pads on. Tomorrow's going to be an awfully fun day. We'll see you then. Have a great night, everybody. Peace.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get exactly what you asked for. Here for whatever you bring me, getting handled. I answer to no one, I don't need to hassle. Yeah, we ain't never fall back. Hold our ground where we at.